secured them with their first grant for that area to get extra neighborhood patrol, so extra police patrol in that area. Shawn helped us secure that, and that was, I think, one of the first times I met the mayor, because he came down to kick off our, we did a big press, conference and release.
Great folks from Charcoal Broiler and Texas Theater and all the businesses, Jim Lake, all the businesses down there.
Barack Epstein with Texas Theater, they were.
This is really deconstructing Dallas.
Absolutely, right?
This is
we're breaking it down.
In the weeds, which is great. This is community work now.
Right.
That's right.
So deep. People like just the surface fun, big stuff, but it's the background stuff that makes it happen.
So that's when you first met Mike Rawlings.
Yes, casual, like everybody else in the crowd.
And then, and then 4.5 years ago, you started talking to him more about coming on his team. Right.
So, as a community prosecutor, Councilmember Adam Magoo was my chief at the time, and he had already transitioned to the mayor's office, and he was getting ready to gear up to run for council, so he knew he was leaving, and he asked if I would be interested in coming over to talk to the mayor, and as me and the mayor call it, that's when we started dating or courting each other. We should call it professional courtship. That's what I should say.
That sounds good.
Yeah, professional courtship, and it worked out, and in February 2015, I went over, and I've been there ever since.
So I worked on GrowSouth when I was in the office, and you've really, really worked on GrowSouth over the last 4.5 years.
You're more like the godfather of GrowSouth, I would say, right?
That means I'm old, probably.
No, that means like you started it. You were in the grassroots, the weeds.
So I made weeds, and then they came in.
Put some flowers and grass.
Yeah, put some fertilizer down and landscaped it, and it's all nice. But, looking back, because that's kind of what we're doing right now, what are your thoughts about Southern Dallas, your work with GrowSouth, about the mayor's program? Like, when you think about the work over the last, now 8 years total, even just reflecting over his whole term, what do you think?
So we had to have this conversation kind of as we were wrapping up the office to think about what's happening in Southern Dallas and how we feel about the work that's accomplished. It's hard not to be proud of it just because of so much that's happened. We realized that we raised the tax base, all of our collective work over the past 8 years in Southern Dallas by over 120% versus North Dallas that grew at about 80% growth rate. So that was huge to know that was kind of the main focus, to show that Southern Dallas was a jewel. It was an investment opportunity, and that people are investing real dollars and money into Southern Dallas, whether it's residential businesses and things like that. So as we reflected and thought about it, there was still so much work to do, though, right? So we still have left so much on the plate, too, for the next mayor and the next administration to take on. And so I like to compare it to building a house. I feel like, or not even building a house, remodeling a house, because it's already something there. But if you're going to remodel a house, you kind of have to do the big things first, right? You have to go in, get your foundation straight, put up your walls, make sure your plumbing. It's not always the glitzy, pretty stuff, but it's the work that has to get done before you can then go in and paint the pretty, lay down the pretty floors, put in the cute fixtures. So we hope that our legacy, or the mayor's legacy with GrowSouth, is to have, came in and did some deconstructing. And tearing down some things, but also starting the foundation to build a strong house that would be Southern Dallas.
What are some of the pieces that you're most proud of the GrowSouth effort?
Well, besides the tax base, which I think is super cool, what I always say I'm always most proud of is the fact that people talk about Southern Dallas way more. I'm from Dallas. I'm from Southern Dallas, as a matter of fact. And for a long time, I was probably one of those kids that didn't really leave my neighborhood much except to go to school, because I went to private school, but, it was still in Southern Dallas. So, we didn't really travel all over Dallas. We didn't really see Dallas, when we didn't hear about our part of Dallas as well, being from Oak Cliff. So the fact that is on so many people's minds all over Dallas, the fact that whether you're criticizing or praising what GrowSouth has done, you're talking about Southern Dallas, that's the thing I'm most proud of, that at least it's on the top of everybody's mind.
Deconstructing Dallas, Shawn Williams, Ryan Trimble with Vana Hammond from Mayor Mike Rawlings' office, Chief of Community Relations. Ryan and I will probably have a chance in our next show to talk more about the legacy of Mayor Rawlings. We both had a chance to work with him. Obviously, I mentioned that for about a year I was his deputy chief of staff. Ryan worked on the campaign in 2015 with Mayor Rawlings and was out on the campaign trail with him. But I want to get your reflections, your take on Mayor Rawlings, the mayor, and Mayor Rawlings, the man.
That's a great question. As far as the mayor, I mean, Dallas was so blessed to have him, in all honesty. When I say he worked the hardest that I've only worked for one mayor, but I just don't see many people work that hard in politics, period. And he worked so hard, and not so much because a lot of people in politics work hard, but the way he worked and the way he thought about it was so out the box and so original. And I think that's why a lot of people will remember him and consider him to be a great mayor, one of the great mayors of Dallas, because of the way he thinks about problems and the way he goes about solving them. And he really does always say, if you know him, you either love him or you hate him. But you can never miss. His heart is always in the right place, and that's one thing that I love about him as a man and as a mayor. That his heart is always for the people. His heart is always for what's right, and he will listen at some times.
Sometimes.
at the right times. There are right times, and it's usually the key times when it really matters that he will listen, and you can talk to him. And what I personally appreciate about him as a man is that I can be honest with him. I don't have to bite, my tongue. I can be honest about my opinions, whether I like it, love it, hate it, and he can accept it. And it's no hard feelings, and we go on about our day. And I hope he feels the same about me.
Well, I know I had a opportunity to learn about how he works, right? So like a lot of what I saw him doing and how he thought about problems and even questions that he asked, like I learned things like that just being around him. And so that, that's a great benefit of being around somebody like that.
Absolutely. I always tell people I've learned the most in this job than I've ever learned. It's like a crash course in business, politics, strategy, anything, a master's course in it, just learning from his life and his experiences.
It's great stuff. Deconstructing Dallas, Ryan Trimble, Shawn Williams. We're going to take a quick break. Be right back with Vana Hammond. Stick with us.
From a baby's first steps to walking your daughter down the aisle, so many of life's precious moments are spent on our feet, and every step you take contributes to a healthier heart. By walking briskly for just 30 minutes a day, you can lower your risk for heart disease and stroke. So join us and take the first step to a healthier, longer life. The American Heart Association. Life is why.
Welcome back. This is Deconstructing Dallas. Shawn Williams, Ryan Trimble. We are with Vana Hammond, Chief of Community Relations in the Office of the Mayor for about another week. About another week. So we were talking before. We got to make sure. I think we have tickets to the inauguration. If not, hopefully we know someone who can help us get
Maybe.
We're losing a big friend down there, Shawn.
It's a big. We're let's be honest, okay? I try not to give him too much props, but we're losing two big friends. Scott Goldstein will also not be there. Exactly. Our very first guest on the podcast. Yeah. So we're losing two big friends in City Hall. Yeah.
That means we're going to have to actually do some work now, Shawn.
Exactly. You got to build some more relationships. Yeah. That relationship building is hard.
You know me and people, sometimes it can be difficult, but you have taught me a lot more about how I need to deal with people better. But, Vanae, we talked before we were into the break a little bit about GrowSouth and some of the reflections, but also looking forward. Like, what are some of the things that were put in place that are forward-looking for GrowSouth?
Well, what we're extremely excited about is on the mayor's last council day, since he's off doing DFW mission trip for his final council agenda day. We were able to pass 4 big initiatives for Southern Dallas on that council day. One was around Emmett Smith is doing, he bought the Urban League property on Lancaster across from the VA hospital. And we were able to put a little funds towards equity that's going to be around job creation, retail space, and just help revitalize that Lancaster corridor area. The second thing was around Redbird. We have a large tenant coming in, Chime, which is it's a telemarket. Well, not telemarketing. I'm sorry, that's the wrong word. It's more so of a call center environment, but they focus on the whole person. So they usually bring in a child care center. They focus on the things and the barriers that keep people from working in call centers because of the strenuous hours and the exact times. And if anything in life goes wrong, your car goes out, you have a flat tire in a call center, you can lose your job. So they focus on the whole person and helping them doing that. And they also start with a living wage. Their starting pay is $14 an hour.
That's great.
And they're hiring at around 1,000 people right there at Redbird, and they have a large space that they're renting. And they've done this in Atlanta at another mall that was repurposed on the east side of Atlanta, I believe. And then the second thing was we were able to get through something that's called the Southern Dallas Investment Fund. One of the things that we realized when we reflected on GrowSouth is that we were able to do a lot of large projects, but where I always felt we were lacking, where I always felt short when people would ask for resources, was around small businesses. And so we wanted to leave a little money back for some of the council and the Southern Dallas advocates to figure out how to market small businesses and help small businesses in Southern Dallas through 4 ways. One is around marketing. 2 is around creating this small business innovation hub, I believe is what they're calling it, to work with small business companies that are already working with cities and governments, counties, states in the MWBE program. How do we help build their capacity? So taking like a cohort and walking them through some capacity buildings. And then third, which would also kind of feed into that, is some money to start like an infrastructure for a small business loan fund. So there are a lot of people that are interested from financial institutions that want to do the loan fund, but the question is how to do it in Dallas, because in each market it looks different. So there are people out there studying that and finding that out. So we wanted a little money there to, once they figure it out, hopefully, to help get that off the ground so that we can start making loans out for small businesses, low interest, help capacity build if they're not ready for a loan, how to get them ready for the loan, and things of that nature, because that is one of the areas we know that was lacking. So that was the third thing. And the fourth thing is we were able to give a small, $500,000 to the Seeds Foundation in the bottom to help with beautification of the bottom area once development starts happening, to actually put some art and street toppers and sign entranceways and things, beautification, things that the community could come together and do in partnership with the developer. So we're really excited about some of those little things that we think will keep the momentum going, regardless to who sits in the seat of mayor or not. So
yeah, and I mean, I'm hopeful that I don't think that you can stop the momentum. I mean, the cat's out of the bag.
I'm hopeful too.
People are moving and grooving on it, and Tanell Atkins, our good friend, is a champion for the plan. So big thanks to him for keeping the trains rolling. But I mean, I think it's amazing, Vanae, because I spent about a decade working in politics on the state side of things and didn't really do much in Southern Dallas, and then enter Mayor Mike and you all and your GrowSouth effort, Shawn and his weeds that he planted.
Right, the Godfather.
But man, my eyes were just open to everything going on in Southern Dallas. UNT Dallas is down there. Trinity Groves, will throw them in the mix. It's really amazing. There's some beautiful land, some beautiful properties. And so,